Onolya kuchichoka mama.
For more than 50 years, the endeavor called social and economic development has touched every aspect of life. Globally, hundreds of thousands of organizations are working to bring prosperity to the people of the world. In fields such as agriculture, technology, education, health, human rights, governance and participation, the advancement of women, and the well-being of children, people are pouring their energies into development projects that are designed to uplift humanity. Social and economic development has become an extremely complex endeavor. Those working in development come from diverse backgrounds. While they energetically pursue programs and projects of various kinds, many of them share a common concern that development has not been able to achieve its goals.
Development has not fulfilled its promises. It has made a stride. It has tried, but it has not succeeded to the magnitude that we expected a couple of decades ago.
Development has actually, for the last 50 years, missed its target. And a lot of people, out there, actually are becoming more and more poorer. Despite all these attempts, why are people living so affluently and yet others are living so desperately? What is missing?
In the 1950s and 60s, the kind of disparities between the rich and poor in Uganda were not this marked. So there is need to look at what went wrong.
What we are seeing is 90% of the population being left out of the economic activities. Now, how do you develop when 90% of the people in this country are not participating?
This dichotomy that has been created among, first of all, those who have and those who don't have. One person gets wealthy, 10 people get poorer, and that is the challenge that we have.
Those people in the urban areas and the rural, the gap is so big. If you go deep in the rural areas, you find people don't have basics, people don't even have soap, you see their life and then you feel there must be something done. And how do you do it?
Maybe what we should start questioning is what really is the problem? What is that underlying problem? I think we have to sort of get a little bit deeper.
Old ways of doing things are evidently not working. We need to do things more fundamentally. We need to go back to the drawing board in some cases rather than doing things business as usual.
How do we get out of the situation that we are in? It's not a good situation economically, politically, but also spiritually. We are in pieces, basically, I should say.
Leaders of thought in Asia, Latin America, and Africa have recently started to examine fundamental questions about the well-being and development of the people of the world. Their efforts are being supported by the Institute for Studies in Global Prosperity, an agency established to explore new concepts and models of social transformation. In Uganda, a group of people drawn from different organizations and areas of concern have come together to contribute to an emerging discourse on science, religion, and development. In this way, they hope to find solutions to some of the challenges facing their country.
We are looking for new ways of doing things. This science, religion, development discourse is giving us a holistic method in which everyone participating is no longer divided in boxes, but is seeing the whole picture and knows, yes, I'm operating on this corner, somebody else is starting on this corner, but we are going to meet at the center. The center is not the city Kampala. The center is that every family will be living happily.
In African culture, we have extended family or clan meetings. I think these global consultations are also in a similar way. This time, not only just a clan, but people of different races, people of different religions, all of them having a common thing to share about and know how we can improve it.
The activities, some of them are meetings, workshops and seminars that we engage in this discourse, are quite exciting. You have people from different backgrounds all coming together with a wealth of experience.
From the seminar that I took part in, I realized the importance of sitting together to address common problems.
This discourse is so important in that it has brought for the first time on board critical input from the key people, the stakeholders, the people who are suffering. This discourse has given them what they have been longing for, the space to come together and talk.
Development has been built on a number of misconceptions regarding the nature of a human being and of society. The poor have been viewed as bundles of needs. Yet participants in the discourse believe that those who have been perceived as poor have infinite capacities. The advancement of a prosperous world civilization depends on tapping this rich intellectual and spiritual potential.
It's true really that a human being today has been heavily misunderstood from many different points of view.
In our investigation about our own nature, we are still very, very limited.
Can you explain why, let's say, somebody will go hungry to give their neighbor? Or they may not even talk to that much, but you know, that the pulling of the heartstrings.
Human beings are human beings and they have a lot of potential. They have the spiritual potentials, not only the material one. And we should look at them along that context, not just for what they possess.
They are looking at poor people as people who don't have anything to offer. These are people who must be helped. They are looked at as people who have nothing. They don't think, they don't even plan, they don't have any plans. It's unfortunate for anybody to think that a community has nothing to offer.
The people have been looked as underdeveloped, living in poverty. Their way of living has been called primitive. It has been called backward. It has been criminalized. These fellows look at themselves as criminals in front of other human beings. That is dehumanizing and therefore blocks development.
To me, true development is a condition which provides the basic needs, spiritual, material, and intellectual, that human beings need to prosper.
That's the question in the South we're beginning to ask. What does development actually mean? Some people believe that development is how much material wealth you have.
Why is economics becoming the driver of everything? They will ask you, how economical is it? Economics has become the cursor of everything. Should it be the cause? Should it be the direction?
We tend to look more on economic growth, industrialization as the means to overcoming our problems. This discourse finds a way of bringing out spiritual values which are essential in balancing the material indicators that we've been using.
The way I look at development is that it's more than just material things. We have to look at development from the perspective of the people. What is it that they feel will make them poor people? So some people feel that if they are not fulfilled spiritually, they are lonely. All those are facets that we have to look at when we are looking at development.
What is being proposed is that people at the grassroots should participate in all aspects of the development process, but to set their own course of development and to achieve significant progress, people not only need access to knowledge, but must be able to contribute to its generation and application.
So we are looking at people recognizing their problems and being able to find a solution within themselves.
The people themselves, the people aspiring for development, should be involved in the process of development, but it should not be imposed from outside.
Our communities think that, oh my goodness, yeah, it is true. After all, we have nothing to offer. And yet in reality, they have a lot to offer. There are, of course, issues that will come from outside. But what is their contribution?
When people are like trained, when people are sensitized, when people are knowledgeable, they then themselves begin to make choices.
Where does this knowledge, which plays a central role in the advancement of society, come from? Participants in the discourse agree that the two main sources of knowledge that guide humanity are science and religion. In seminars and workshops, they discuss their views about the nature of science and religion, the relationship between the two, and the role that these sources of knowledge can play in development.
Science is about how things are done, how things are organized. Science explains what you do every day and how you do it.
Religion is powerful because from it we draw our strengths.
Religion should be point number one in human life. Why? It shapes you. It gives you the ethics. Therefore, it guides you in what to do next.
Science is a system of knowledge. Every human being is born with the capacity to think and to generate knowledge.
Religion also is a system of knowledge that is in relating to nature, relating to our fellow human beings, and also being able to connect with each other.
Science involves the study of our natural environment. We do perceive science as an instrument of development for the good of humankind.
To pursue science, you need to be disciplined and go for experimentation so that your experience and understanding is widened. I believe that religion is equally a discipline. If we have to experience higher consciousness, we have to ask the relevant questions and adopt a methodology of seeking answers to those questions.
Science is a discipline with the ultimate aim of understanding God's creation better and generating knowledge which can be useful to mankind.
The question of who I am, why am I here? How come this whole universe is wider than me, is bigger than me? How does the universe come about? And so on. That philosophy, if you want, is the mother of science.
Religion should act as the conscience of society. It should influence the way we act in our development, in our politics, and in our endeavor to improve the quality of life of our people.
When we began to talk about science, religion, and development, actually some people thought we should just talk about spirituality, but we realized that it's true, good deeds at individual level are good, but the only way to influence other things, greater, wider, issues and processes, then it has to be institutional, and it is in religion rather than individual spirituality that we can influence wider society.
The strength of religion is that it gives force to spirituality to move forward and mobilize. Religion should be given its space once again to propel society forward. Because now we are stuck, very, very stuck.
The role of science in the community, this conflict-plagued community, specifically I'm going to identify Gulu, where I am based. Here we are looking at science as a process of the community, as a process of participation, as a process of development, as a process of contribution to humanity.
Many of the participants' conversations revolve around the ways in which people have applied science and religion in everyday life. Further, They discuss the potential of these systems of knowledge to contribute to major changes in the life of humanity.
Science has contributed towards development a great deal. It has developed the means of communication. It has opened up the minds of the people. We are able to analyze the situations far better now than what we could do 100 years ago.
Religion is fundamental. Fundamental in that it's where humility begins to grow. When I look at religion, I really look more about what are those value systems, what are those ethical ways of doing things. Working with religion begins to bring about issues of social justice, issues of fairness, issues of equity.
If you are religious, whatever you are doing, you ask yourself, if it was me, if it was me. So you find that in one way or another you are humbled.
Science is not owned by anybody. The knowledge itself, everybody participates in sharing it. People might share it at different levels, but certainly it's not owned by the elite only.
In the course of linking up the research institutions, the universities, with the indigenous knowledge, we found ourselves doing an interface research together. The research institute took up this as their finding and owned it as their knowledge. The institutes rob the community of knowledge and even don't tell them the findings of it. They don't tell them that what actually you have works, and probably encourage them to reveal more insight into it. This knowledge is locked up in some kind of journal and never used.
When we look at the true religion, it must be in the best interest of humanity. Humanity, when we talk about it in Uganda, it has the concept of Ubuntu. Ubuntu looks at you as a human being. It doesn't look at you as a woman. It doesn't look at you as an acholi. It doesn't look at you as them versus us, polarization. No, it looks at you as an identity of God.
Religion, like any other form of knowledge, has had a lot of distortions because of fanaticism, making religion become a source of antagonism rather than a source of unity, which it should have actually been serving the purpose.
What I've discovered from these seminars is religion is one. No matter where you from, which faith you come from, but our principles is one.
A key concept in the group's discussions is that science and religion should be seen as complementary systems of knowledge that should influence both individual and collective efforts in the development field.
What we should be doing is to use the spiritual development goals to guide our material development goals.
What should be the mission of science in society? How does science relate to religion? And how do I personally relate to this dichotomy, current dichotomy between science and religion? And I've increasingly come to realize that that division is just apparent. It is not real.
Science and religion, as far as I can see from reading the holy books, they are complementary. They don't contradict each other. If it was implemented the way it is supposed to be, science and religion would be helping humanity to develop.
The paradigm we're rejecting is that they were competing systems, which is better than the other. And that's, I think, where the Western scholars went a little bit amiss, because they separated and said, you see, religion deals with the spiritual, and the science deals with the physical, with the objective. Now we're saying in the African context, these are not competing systems. These are coexisting.
I'm a scientist. I'm also religious. But putting the two together and seeing how we can get them working to improve people's lives is something that has been very amazing to me. I think it's sort of completing a picture for me.
We could reduce a lot of human suffering if we embraced this approach of religion and science acting together to bring about the betterness in human life. We see the two are actually operating in our lives each and every moment. to talk of them separately becomes very difficult.
One of the things which is evident is that all of us have lived dichotomized lives. You believe in certain things maybe because of your religion, but you dare not bring this into the workplace. So I think we can make a connection between the decisions we make at the workplace, which should be informed by values that draw from our faiths and our religions, and then move into implementing those policies. And we think that if we make these connections, we shall be better policymakers. We shall be more whole human beings.
Our thinking shapes the actions we are performing in everyday life. I cannot be committed to carry out these objectives of my work if it's going to be contrary to the principle and the values I'm holding.
I see an attitude formation linked to this discourse because it has helped me personally to change my attitude. I believe my action now is going to be shaped by this new attitude.
The approach is very fragmented. You go to Makerere, you will find there's a department of chemistry, and you have a department of physics, you have a department of psychology, fragmented. And now we are beginning to say, let us sit together and talk. You may have a different approach, let me learn from you, but can you also learn from me? Yeah? So that is definitely the holistic dimension of knowing that one approach alone, it can't work.
Those participating in the discourse hope to influence the assumptions and premises upon which development policies are built.
One of the things that we've been trying to do is to review all these programs, wondering whether they address the issue of religion, they address the issue of science and technology. How can we influence government policy? How can we influence private sector policies towards the development programs that are being put in place?
Can we use the opportunity, say, of revising the Poverty Eradication Action Plan to do an analysis of these issues and identify policy implications? For us to make a difference, it is essential for this discourse to get into the mainstream government processes.
Policy intervention is very, very important in order to address some of the issues that are coming out of the discourse. We need more knowledge, and therefore more research would need to be undertaken so that we understand where are the problems coming from.
There is a need to have wider participation by the very people who will be affected by the policy. We strongly now believe in Uganda here, if there is any policy that the government wants to put in place, it must follow a participatory approach. It must be process-oriented. It must not be designed in the offices.
Greater involvement of different interest groups in this dialogue is one way of giving them opportunity to reflect critically about the notions that we are pursuing as a country, so that we are able to chart out mechanisms, come up with national policies, educational policies that can streamline our practices of science, our dialogue in religion, and our involvement and participation in development.
What is critical for now is for a number of policymakers who are currently determining the fate of Uganda's 27 million people. How do we ensure that they are aware about these issues? Can we have members of the village discussing these issues in a more profound way and ensuring that their views and knowledge informs policy at the highest level possible?
I think it is very critical that policies are made participatory. If you expect to change somebody's attitude and you think that you will just push the issues down their throat, well, the chances are that you will have no impact. And sometimes people say there was a fatigue in the process, but it was not really the fatigue. It was the methodology of how this process was implemented. So it's critical that the users become part and parcel of the process so that they own it, they accept it. And then therefore you will see the change, the transformation take place.
When you look at the discourse on science, religion and development, to many they see it as we are thinking of an ideal world. We are idealizing a lot. That kind of thinking comes as a result of people imagining that it is impossible to change. It's not impossible to change. It can take a little while.
Very often in this world today, we are pointing a finger at others and not realizing that we are all involved in this problem. One thing which comes out very clearly is always saying what the government needs to do, forgetting that we as the people also have to be at a certain level of understanding.
Discourse is not just about meetings. Right from the beginning, we said we have shared concerns, but we have no solutions. So we needed to meet. We needed to meet in order to clarify for ourselves what is this connection between science, religion, and development. More recently, we've realized it's time now to engage the policymakers.
The participants are asked to join one of the 4 groups, which are technology and science, education, health and culture, governance, and economics and environment. Each of these groups is supposed to come up with a strategy paper, which will form a part of a concept paper that gives a picture of what the participants feel things will look like in the future in Uganda.
One of the things that really has encouraged me to participate in discourse discussions is that we are coming up with papers that are going to be presented both to Parliament and to world meetings. And they will involve us in ensuring that these kind of approaches are adapted and practiced and are sustainable in order for us to be able to realize development for our grassroots communities. That is our hope as a team of people who are working on this.
These practitioners have a vision for the future. They see that there are challenges and that it will take time for their efforts to bear fruit. Yet they are confident that they can attract a large enough number of people to their discourse to make a difference in the way development is practiced.
The way I look at this discourse in Uganda, it needs to be revolving and it needs a full participation.
Media is the agent of change. So it is the work of the media to sensitize the public so that they are aware of the importance of this discourse.
What we are thinking now is how to translate this knowledge into action. It's exciting to know also that this discourse is not only in Uganda, but that it's going on all over the world, and that we have a common vision. And this vision, if realized, I'm very certain that this world will be a better place.
Given the opportunity that the women I work with could have a chance to engage in such a discourse, it would be the start of the new world, because these women have got a lot of knowledge. Giving them this opportunity to air out how they like to improve on their way of living doesn't happen in most cases.
The whole discourse on science, religion, and development can change the way things are going. That is, if more people are involved, if more policymakers are brought on board, if more academicians, researchers, and then the ordinary people, if they are brought on board. Because when you leave out the people and you empower those who are already powerful, then the whole picture will remain distorted.
When Gandhi started his struggles, many people at the time thought, this is not going to go anywhere. But persistence, perseverance, and commitment to purpose kept him on the path. And I believe this discourse in Uganda needs to own up to the same values.
I feel so honored to be part of this discourse, which discourse is growing, and it is growing in its own identity. It is going to shape the future, not only the future of Uganda, but the world over. Alupasiri, alupasiri.
Mwana wanyabonze sirina kwenaza.
Kalya twera kaluma likumba.
Seeing a shell
Daro Nyuka Pong Tago.
Kulu Pong Kijahe.
Mwana wanyabonze sina kwenasa.
Kichamiti yo borda dang a lemon kuri aru kone matiki kukumuyo ito lemon ai anaboro kedula
akusingire akuteeza ogwokwasira
mwana wanyabonze sina kwenasa
indechere mali ni kugobosa.
Asiyefundishwa na mamake hufundishwa na dunia.
Nga okuba oo uumba.
Umwana ahupe ngoma umuhulu washina.
Arai kolela pa tunganan elapa. Etwan kerela pa kujaruni elapa. Arai kolela pa tunganan elapa. Etwan kerela pa kujaruni elapa.
Wasuzo chacho kamama Wasuzo chacho kanzala Onolya kuchicho kamama Onolya kuchicho kanzala Nasuzeyo nga nkulowoozako Nasuzeyo nga nkulowoozako Nalya ku nkejje bambi Nanywa ku buugi mwattu Nasuzeyo nga nkulowoozako Nasuzeyo nga nkulowoozako Nalya ku mawolu bambi Nalya ku binyeebwa bambi Wasuzo chacho kati